The best way to describe the technical level of this course is that it occupies the advanced beginner or early intermediate end of the spectrum. Before you take this course, you need to have some basic working knowledge of Unity and C#. In particular, you need to know some object-oriented programming before you begin. Variables, classes, loops, conditionals, general concepts of inheritance, these are all good things to know. You'll need to have some decent exposure to using the Unity interface and creating your own scripted components using the Unity Engine API. With the exception of our sample project that we will use to start you off, you will see me type out all the scripts one line at a time with commentary on everything that I'm doing. It was intended that a broad range of students could follow along with this course, but we won't go over a lot of the concepts in these slides just for the sake of time. These lessons and projects were recorded using Unity 2017. 2018 was currently in beta when we started, and you'll need, at minimum, Unity 2017 to follow along with this course. The videos are broken down into 10 or 15-minute increments, each one designed to build on the previous lesson. It's best to go straight through the lectures without skipping around. Periodically, we will ask you to pause the video and apply what you've learned in a challenge. If you really want to learn this material, definitely you should attempt the challenges on your own. It's a little bit too easy to follow along with the lectures, copying and pasting code without really digesting the material. The challenges are designed to force you to read a little bit of documentation and try to solve a short problem on your own using what you've just learned. We'll also have a few quizzes sprinkled in there as well to help you test your knowledge. At any point, if you get lost, you can always revert to using a save point. Each lecture has a full Unity project associated with it that shows you the results of the completed lesson. If you find that you get stuck or your project is behaving differently than what the lecture shows, I advise that you download the SavePoint project to compare with your own work. You can either just pick up where you left off using the SavePoint or use that to check what you've done. For comparing your scripts, I definitely encourage you to check out a useful tool called TKDiff. It's a great little free program to help you do that. Go to sourceforge.net/projects/tkdiff and pick up a copy of that. When you're comparing two different versions of the same script to see what the discrepancy is, you TKDiff the two different files. A dialog box pops up that shows the differences as colored ticks or hash marks. Scroll up and down, and the differences between the two text files are highlighted in those same colors. TKDiff can be a super helpful diagnostic tool, so make sure that you pick that up or one of its commercial counterparts, something like Beyond Compare by Scooter Software. Now, there are a lot of options to use here. Just make sure you use some program that does something similar to TKDiff. If you find that you get stuck, download that corresponding save point, run TKDiff or Beyond Compare or whatever you're using, and usually that can tell you the error. Now, if you're still stuck, feel free to use the Q&A forum. Now, when you do that, it's important that you provide as much information about your problem as you can. More information is always better than less information. Note what lecture you're on and try to give a series of steps that someone else can use to reproduce the problem. If possible, prepare your project by zipping it up and uploading it to Dropbox or Google Drive or some similar cloud-based service. If you do this, please strip away any extra art assets or plugins that you may have imported that weren't bundled with this course. It just makes the whole process easier. As I mentioned earlier, the videos in this course were designed for an advanced beginner or early intermediate pace. You will very likely need to pause the video from time to time to follow along with the code, and you won't necessarily be able to type along with each lecture. I do try to leave enough time after each section of code is typed out so you can pause the screen and digest it. But these videos were designed to be rewatched. A lot of editing goes into them so that only the important parts are left. And I definitely encourage you to watch the video one time through before you attempt the code along. Though I do explain each line as I write it out, try not to mimic what I'm typing and instead pause the video, take a moment to understand what you're watching and how logically it fits in with the rest of the project. You're not going to learn programming just by copying and pasting. Now, while we're on the subject of scripting, it's important that we maintain some standards along the way, so let's briefly visit our naming and coding conventions in the next lesson.